an international job seeker in Denmark today. Oh, my hair is like horrible. So I was attending, as you might have seen from my videos for the past 2 days, I was attending International Citizens Days in Copenhagen the previous 2 days. And one of the things that became clear to me was that, well, I already knew it, so it was kind of a reminder, right? That it can be really, really hard to be an international job seeker because it can be really hard to be a job seeker in general, but then adding on the layer of being in a different country, another culture, all of these things can make it even harder. So that is why I thought I would talk about 3 things that you can do to help you cope with the job search when you're in Denmark as an international. And if you're Danish, you can use this too. If you don't know me, I am Diana Lund Nostrom, and I am a career consultant, as my channel name might have revealed. Working in Denmark, I'm Danish, working with international academic talent. So if you have a bachelor's degree or up, you are my clients or potential clients, right? So basically, let's jump into the 3 things. I'm a bit tired today, I have to say, so that if the words come out wrong, that's why. Okay, so the first thing is to find a way to manage. Oh God, that was perfect, right? To manage your emotions, because it can be very emotional. I'm just gonna move my light here because that annoys me quite a bit. Oops. There we go. So a way to do, or there are 3 ways to do this here. So the first thing is, when you are looking for a job, you will also experience rejections, right? So if you start and try and reframe those rejections in a way where you start talking about how can I actually get the most out of the information here? How can I use this to help me in my further career, right? So reframing in that sense, but also sometimes, and this is, you can call it a mind game or whatever you want to call it, but also sometimes say, okay, so if I didn't get that interview or that job, I probably wouldn't have fit into that position or into that company anyways. So really, like, remember that it is important to find the correct match as well. So it's not just to kind of see, oh, I need a job, I need a job. It's about finding that right match for you and the job. So when you reframe the rejections as in something that can help you move forward by either kind of tricking your mind, or not tricking your mind necessarily, because I actually think it's true, but that you're probably actually not the right person for that position. But also kind of learning, especially if you had interviews, but also just if you got a rejection based on your material, reach out and talk to them about, or ask them about what did they focus on with the people they actually started to, or the people they interviewed, or the people they hired. It's about them. So you're not asking about yourself, you're asking about them. I want to say, if you have questions, anything, put them in the chat and I'll answer them at the end of the video. So the second thing, when we're talking about managing your emotions, a lot of internationals experience the Danish job market as fairly slow. So there's something here with perspective. So really changing your perspective and knowing that the process of job searching in Denmark can be fairly slow, because my previous job, I applied for the job, I think in the end of November or mid-December, November, December. I had my first interview on, I think about 18th of December. And then I got a call back for an interview on the 6th of January or something like that. but I didn't start until March 1st, right? So even from sending the application to getting the job offer, I know that Christmas is also break and everything, but right, but it was like 2 months. And then even before starting in the job, you could add a couple of months before that, right? So it doesn't work as fast maybe, which is kind of funny because in a lot of other things we're fairly efficient in Denmark, but for job search it is might just be a slower process than what you're used to. Then when we're talking about um, again managing your emotions around job search, a very good idea can be to create routines, so daily routines that can help you um, set time specifically to apply for jobs, because especially people who are unemployed get more and more like frustrated, of course, and that makes sense, but also um, tend to not be able to switch off the job seeking brain. 1 second here. Sorry. There we go, I think. Okay. So like creating these routines, so because as a job, I just had to block someone from the chat. So basically when you have the routine, you keep thinking about job search all the time, but if you put, that's super stressful. You never have time off, right? And that's not healthy for anyone. So creating a routine where you say, okay, so I'm spending time from this to this, let's say from 8 to 2 every day job searching, and then the excess time you'll spend with your family, doing workouts, doing like activities, hobbies with friends, whatever it is that you do. But you have a life. You're not a job seeker 24/7. So I think this is really important, actually, to create routines, but also create a schedule around it. Okay, so then also support and accountability. So basically, when we're looking at that um, in terms of job search in Denmark, having a network, like finding a network and networking events that make sense to you, for you to expand with the people you know, but also to create a good support system, can be very beneficial. Um, I have a network that's focused on job seekers, so reach out to me if you're interested. We meet on a weekly basis on Zoom. But having this network, one is like with people who do something similar to you, who are in the same kind of situation. Reach out to them, right? Because just the fact of knowing that you're not alone is super important and super helpful in a stressful situation. Then attending, in terms of getting knowledge, attending networking events is also an amazing thing that can be industry specific or more broad. And then when you have to create the accountability here, when you have these networks, when you have these people, then share your weekly goals. So let people know what are the goals you have for this week and have a chat about it, because that also makes it more likely that you will reach those goals, whether they are job search relevant or, I'm so sorry. It's a bit late. It's been a long weekend. But whether it's like job search goals or just goals in general, share them with people so you can chat about them and feel supported by others as well. And then in general, seek support from people who, well, one is in the same situation, but also people who know the Danish job market. When we're talking about getting support from a career consultant like me, for example, there are amazing career consultants in Denmark. We just all have different perspectives. And I always encourage you to find someone who knows the Danish market, someone who can help you by by being aware of what's it like what's the culture, what is it like, And there's different levels of this, because I know that there's some, so you can get a lot of, if you just search career consultant on Google or whatever, there's a million different people, right? But the job search market in Denmark is pretty specific. We're a small, weird country in a good way, right? But that means that you need to have someone who knows how do we actually do CVs and cover letters and stuff like that in Denmark. I have a very holistic approach to job search in general. So as you've also heard here, I think also the emotional support and stuff is super important. But you can also, now we just, there are people both. Okay, I was trying to figure out. Okay, so basically choose someone who's based in Denmark. It doesn't have to be a Dane. You can have different things. Where I was unemployed for 2 years when I graduated, so I know the struggle of being unemployed for a long period of time. But I am a Dane, so I don't know from personal experience what it's like to be international, job seeking like that. But I have worked within the field for the past 9 years, and the past 3.5, 4 years specifically with internationals. So I do have that experience, right? But there are also people in Denmark who are internationals and who help other internationals with job search. And I think a very important thing, if you're looking for a career consultant um, to support you in your job search, it needs to be someone you feel like you connect with. It needs to be someone where it's like, for me, it's important that I feel like, one, that I can actually help you, of course, and two, that it's that there's a connection in some way, right? And yeah, so find someone that it makes sense to work with. I made beets for dinner, so I have red fingers. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. Okay, so the third part of this is staying motivated is also super important to cope with your job search in Denmark, especially because it's, like I said before, it can be a long process to be job seeking in Denmark, and it can be really mentally hard. So finding ways to stay motivated, and that those can be different for everyone, but here are 3 things that you can do. One is set weekly goals for your job search and for other things that you want to do, because again, if, like I talked about before, creating a schedule and kind of having the different kind of things that puts your everyday life into perspective, and then set goals for, I want to go work out for X amount of time, I want to send X amount of applications, I want to go to X amount of networking events or coffee meetings, stuff like that. So set goals for yourself, and then track your process, or progress and process, both, right? Because the thing is that even though every time you send an application, it's most likely to different companies, right? But there's still a learning process. So I mentioned in the beginning that learning from rejections and kind of getting more information, that can help you kind of track your progress as you go in your job search. Because if you're looking for a job as a project manager and you are getting rejected, and when you then reach out, you realize that 80% of the people who got these jobs that you were applying for, they had a Prince2 certification, then, oh, you might want to look into if it's possible for you to do a Prince2 certification. So really tracking the progress, tracking what you do in terms of, if you do a lot of coffee meetings, make sure to kind of note down who is it that you're speaking to, so that you can also get back to these people and like create good connections and relationships. And then the last thing that I want to say in terms of staying motivated, and I would love for you to share this in the chat as well if you're up for it, and it's one of the things I often do, or we do almost every week in my network, is to celebrate our wins. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't have to be job search related wins, but just wins in general we've had in the previous week, because the things we focus on we see more of. So if we keep focusing on all of the negative, all of the things that are like, oh, this is so sad, then we're gonna keep focusing on that. But if we keep like focusing on the wins, all of the small positive things that happens, then our brain is gonna start tuning into those things, kind of looking for it, like, I know I need to write down a win or 3 wins even from my day in my journal every night, or just once a week. Then your brain is going to start kind of looking for those and be more aware of those in everyday life. So celebrate your wins is a super, super good way to keep staying motivated as well. So that was my like 3, well, it basically became 9 things, but that I think you can do in terms of kind of coping with your job search in Denmark. I'm just going to see if there's any questions here. Ooh, a dinner invitation. Nice. Yes, it is live. And thank you. 67. I have no idea what that means, but thank you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm gonna be live again tomorrow, probably evening, and let's see. I haven't decided what the theme is yet, but tune in and we will see. If you have a theme you would like for me to talk about, feel free to write a comment. And also, if you have questions to any of the things I've talked about in today's live, write a comment after the video's uploaded, because then I can look at it and see if it makes sense for me to do a live on any of that. Have an amazing rest of your day.